In 800 AD, in the heart of the Yucatan jungle, a king died. He was not buried in cloth. He was not wrapped in silk. He was wrapped in jaguar skin, the pelt of a creature that, for the Maya, did not merely inhabit the jungle. It was the jungle. It was the night. It was the door between the living world and the dead. For 3 millennia, the Maya built one of the most sophisticated civilizations the Americas had ever known. They tracked the stars with precision that rivals modern astronomy. They invented a calendar more accurate than the one we use today. They built pyramids not to bury their dead, but to touch the sky. And at the center of all of it, ruling over myth, cosmology, politics, and war, was a single animal. Panthera onca, the jaguar. This is not a story about a cat. This is a story about how one predator became a god, became a king, became the skin on the back of every ruler who ever claimed the right to cross between worlds. This is the night sun, and tonight we enter the underworld. In the Mayan language, the jaguar had a name, Balam. It is one of the oldest, most sacred words in Mesoamerican civilization. Balam appears in the earliest Mayan texts. It appears on the stones of Copan and Palenque. It is the root of clan names, of royal dynasties, of warrior cults. To name something Balam was not to describe an animal. It was to invoke power, real, physical, metaphysical power. The Maya watched the jaguar for centuries. Here was an animal that moved like water, silently, without warning, appearing from nowhere and vanishing just as fast. It hunted alone. It feared no other creature in the jungle. And crucially, it moved between worlds. It swam, it climbed, it walked on the earth, it hunted in water, it disappeared into caves. Caves, to the Maya, were not geological features. They were mouths, entrances to Xibalba, the underworld. And the jaguar went in and came back out. No other creature did this. No other creature was born of the sunlit jungle and equally at home in the lightless deep. Balam was the proof that the boundary between life and death could be crossed, and survived. When a Mayan king put on jaguar skin, he was not wearing a costume. He was undergoing a transformation. The skin was not decoration, it was technology. In Mayan cosmology, the human body had layers. There was the outer flesh, mortal, perishable. But beneath that was the Ku, the divine animating force. And around that could be placed a sheath, a second body, made of something stronger than flesh. Jaguar skin was that sheath. By wearing it, the king was merging with the jaguar, taking on its properties, its sight in darkness, its silence, its ability to pass through walls between worlds. This is why jaguar pelts were the most valuable commodity in Mesoamerican trade, more precious than jade, more sought after than cacao. Entire trade routes were built around the movement of jaguar skins across thousands of miles. Rulers at Chichen Itza traded with rulers in what is now Honduras. Merchants carried pelts through rainforest, across highland plateau, through hostile territories, because a king without jaguar skin was a king unable to speak to the dead. And in a civilization where the ancestors were constantly consulted, constantly intervening in the affairs of the living, that was not a symbolic limitation. It was a political one. The Maya believed the sun died every evening and was reborn every morning. Not metaphorically, literally. The sun descended into the underworld at dusk, fought through 9 levels of death and darkness, and emerged, victorious, renewed, at dawn. But what was the sun when it was in the underworld? It was a jaguar. The Jaguar God of the underworld appears on hundreds of Mayan monuments. His face combines human and jaguar features. His body is spotted. He rules the night, the darkness, the hours when ordinary humans are helpless. This is why jaguar spots were read as stars. The jaguar's pelt was a map of the night sky. When you looked at a jaguar, you were looking at the cosmos as it appeared from below, from inside the underworld, from the perspective of the dead. The king who wore that pelt was saying, "I have this perspective. I can see what the dead see. I know where the sun goes when it vanishes. I know how it comes back." That knowledge, or the claim to it, was the foundation of political power in the entire Maya world. The jaguar did not just represent power, it legitimized it. Xibalba had 9 levels. The Maya mapped the underworld with the same precision they mapped the stars. Each level had a name, a ruler, a set of trials. Each was worse than the last. The Popol Vuh, the great Quiche Maya creation text, describes the hero twins, Hunahpu and Xbalanque, descending into Xibalba not by accident, but by choice. They have business. Their father is dead and trapped there. They go to get him back. To pass through Xibalba, they must survive the dark house, the cold house, the house of fire, the house of bats, the house of razors. And what guides them? The jaguar. Xbalanque, the jaguar twin. His skin is spotted. His powers are jaguar powers, stealth, night vision, the ability to pass through walls of darkness undetected. Mayan kings reenacted this descent. The great ritual ball game was Xibalba made physical. The court was the underworld. The ball was the sun. And overseeing all of it, the jaguar throne, the jaguar drum, the jaguar skin on the back of the man who claimed sovereignty over both worlds. The underworld was not a place the Maya feared. It was a place they sent their best people. Let me give you names, real men. Kinich Ahau, the great king of Palenque. He ruled for 68 years, from 615 to 683 AD, one of the longest reigns in Mesoamerican history. When he died, he was buried inside the Temple of the Inscriptions, in a stone sarcophagus covered with Mayan cosmological imagery. On the lid, the world tree. Pakal is depicted descending into the mouth of the earth monster, entering Xibalba. On the sides, his ancestors, each emerging from a jaguar tree, each man growing from the underworld like a plant. Pakal was not buried, he was planted, to be dug up again. Then there is Yaxkukmo, the founder of the Copan dynasty. His tomb contained jaguar bones, real ones, evidence that this man, the first king of a dynasty that would last 400 years, had already fused his identity with the jaguar so completely that it followed him into death. And in the murals of Bonampak, painted around 790 AD, Mayan warriors appear covered in jaguar spots. Some wear full jaguar suits, the animal's head forming a helmet. They are not mimicking jaguars, they have become them. Temporarily divine, temporarily dangerous in a way that ordinary men cannot be. Every person in Maya society had a wayab. The word way means something between animal companion, spirit double, and sleeping soul. It is the part of you that exists in another form. The animal that you are, somewhere else, in another register of reality. For most people, the wayab was modest, a bird, a small mammal, something that could be reached through dreams. But for kings, for the truly powerful, the wayab was a jaguar. Mayan ceramics from the classic period depict the way as literal shape-shifting. A king's body opens and a jaguar steps out, or the jaguar's body opens and a king steps in. The two beings share one soul. This created a political theology of remarkable sophistication. The king was not merely a man who ruled, he was two beings simultaneously. The human king visible in court, and the jaguar wayab prowling the boundary between the known world and Xibalba, protecting the community from what lay beyond. When the jaguar in the jungle died, the king weakened. When the king's power was challenged, jaguars became scarce. This is why jaguar conservation was built into the political structure of the Maya world. The jungle was the king's other body. To destroy it was to kill the man who wore the crown. The Maya civilization collapsed between 800 and 900 AD, not all at once. The northern cities, Chichen Itza, Uxmal, continued for centuries. But the great southern classic cities, Tikal, Palenque, Copan, fell silent. Populations dispersed. Monumental constructions ceased. The reasons are still debated. Drought, political collapse, warfare, soil degradation. Probably all of these in combination. And the jaguar? The jaguar survived. It contracted deeper into the rainforest, away from human settlement. It has been doing that ever since, retreating, watching from the tree line as the civilization it once sanctified builds roads through the jungle that was once its body. Today, the jaguar's range covers perhaps half of what it did when the Maya were building Palenque. Habitat loss, cattle ranching, and illegal hunting have pushed it from the heartland of the civilization that once called it a god. What is interesting, what may not be coincidental, is that the indigenous communities with the deepest connection to Mayan cosmology are often among the most effective jaguar protectors. Not because of conservation programs, because of something written on stone 3,000 years ago that has not fully been erased. The jaguar is still Balam. It is still the night sun. It still carries the dead through the underworld and delivers the living day. Some knowledge survives even the collapse of the civilization that produced it.